Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to part 36 of the GTO Trainer. First hand here, we're in the big blind facing a under the gun open. Going to be a standard snap fold. Just some offsuit garbage that doesn't play well against pretty much anything, especially a very tight, strong range such as under the gun, especially when we're also going to be out of position. We open the cutoff with 9-7 of diamonds, folds the big blind who comes in with a 3-bet. Big blinds are going to be 3-betting very tight here, considering that they've already isolated a heads-up situation, so there's no need to bet anyone out of the pot, no need for them to try to bet in order to get that heads-up position that they already have, and especially considering they're also going to be out of position. It's going to be a very, very tight, strong range, 3-betting from the big blind, even versus a wide cutoff open. So I reckon even though 9-7 of diamonds are very, very playable hand post-flop, and also we are in position, but I reckon the big blind's got a little bit too of a tight of a range here. But I don't know, it's kind of a 50-50. Like, I can definitely see a call here, given the fact that not only are we in position, but we also have a hand that won't be dominated in a lot of situations. It's got plenty of post-flop playability. Which is what you want to be aiming for in these types of situations. When you're up against a strong range, you want a hand that doesn't connect with their range, meaning that we can't be dominated, meaning we still have 2 live cards, and then we can also hit a lot of boards that they can't. I could hear a call, I could hear a fold. Maybe the gap, or like the fact that it's a suited gapper rather than a suited connector, plays into it. Might be more of a fold. I'm going to lean towards a fold here, but I will be interested to see. Oh no, so we're playing. So we're being far more tighter. So okay, so yeah, we got some suited connectors in here, like 7-6, 50%, 6-5, 30%, 5-4, 30%. And then at some frequency we're doing our pocket pairs as well, given the implied odds. But yeah, we are, as you can see, so it's going to be a very, very tight, strong range here from the big blind, pretty much. It looks like we're going to respect that, and it looks like we're going to be playing a very, very tight range here from the cutoff. So that makes a lot of sense. The main reason why I thought that it could be a call, or at least at some frequency, is, given those factors that, we're in position, we got one of those hands that plays well up against a tight, strong range, we got a lot of post-flop potential as well. So if we didn't have those things, then it probably would have been a very easy snap fold. Moving on to the next hand, low jack opens, when the hijack with the statistically worst possible hand in poker, so that's going to be a nice, easy snap fold. Next hand here, very tight, strong, under the gun, open. We're in the under gun +1 with some offsuit garbage. We're going to be a very easy snap fold. Going to be a very, very strong range there for us in the under the gun +1 we're going to be playing a very 3-bet or fold strategy, because we want to be isolating a heads up situation, and a call there would definitely allow at minimum 1, if not more, into the pot behind us, and then we're going to be playing multi-way, most likely out of position, to at least 1 or more players in that situation. So it's going to be a very strong, tight 3-bet or fold strategy from the under the gun +1, facing an under the gun open. Next hand here, button opened. This is going to be a very, very wide open here from the button. We're in the big blind with ace-4 offsuit. This is going to be a very easy complete. Button's going to be extremely wide here, so we are able to continue with a lot of things here in the big blind, and we are also getting really good odds as well, only needing to call an extra 1.5 bigs. Flop comes queen, jack, 6, 2 spades. This is going to be a very easy check. Button checks back, 8 of spades peels off, front door flush completes, but the 100% I would have believed that the button would have stabbed at it even with a singular spade or something. Maybe potentially they might just have a random spade that they didn't feel the need to bet at all. Would have figured that they would have a C-bet on majority of flops here, given that as the pre-flop aggressor, a queen high board does favor their range. Once again, we are going to check. They check back. Queen of hearts rolls off. way too thin to go for value. Trying to get value from like king high, like maybe a king 10, king 9, maybe some king 9 suited, king 6s, some king suiteds potentially that get here with a little bit of showdown value that we can get some value from. But no, I reckon this is going to be once again an easy check. We get a check back. They've got you see, I would have figured a jack would have gone for a C bet, or at least a little bit on the turn. Maybe the button also figured that it was a little bit too thin to go for value as well. Damn, that's surprising. This being a fold. Very, very surprising in my opinion that this is a fold. But yeah, so mostly a fold. Ace 5 off, mostly a call. A7, mostly a call, even a raise more of the time. Maybe it's because it's got a little bit more means to go for value, but as you can see here, we are defending really, really wide from the big blind versus what is in a really, really wide opening from the button, and given that we're getting such a good price. Very happy with the rest of the hand. Pretty much no need to go for value at any point. Way too thin. And we're most likely going to get, well, not value owned, but we most likely will get bluffed off our equity. We do have a little bit of showdown value, and we're only really going to get called by better. Moving on to the next hand, under the gun +1 opens. We're in the hijack with pocket 5s. So it's a 3-bet or fold strategy. I can hear a 3-bet given the implied odds versus a very strong under the gun range. We're very likely to get paid off. If we hit our set, we're essentially set mining. If we hit our set, we're very likely to get paid off, given that they could have a lot of overpairs here on a lot of boards. They could also just have a lot of ace king, ace queen that might feel like they're good enough to go for a little bit of value on certain boards that we can all get value from. So given that implied odds, we could be getting a good price here, but I think pocket 5 is just a little bit too low, in my opinion. I would assume... so we're folding pretty much a lot. Even with the implied odds, we're folding a lot. Well, I guess, yeah, I can also hear the idea that we're probably isolating too much of a strong range, given that it's under the gun +1. Should we 3-bet there, and then, we'd much rather like a call to realize our implied odds. So yeah, I guess the implied odds doesn't really work there when we're kind of coming in as a 3-bet. Then we're most likely going to be facing a 4-bet potentially. So yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense to kind of just throw that away. And also with pretty much folding all the way up to jacks and only really 3-betting there with queens. Moving on to the next hand, same very strong under the gun +1 open. We're in the small blind with some offsuit garbage. Pretty easy snap fold. Next hand, once again, under the gun +1 open. We're in the hijack with, once again, some offsuit garbage. Going to be a pretty easy snap fold. Once again, some offsuit garbage facing this time a hijack open. Once again, easy snap fold. No real need to break it down. Here we are, next hand here. So final hand of the session. Button open. Correction, we open on the button with queen jack suited. So we're going to have a very wide opening range here, considering that we are not last to act, but we're going to be in position. We know we're going to be in position. We're up against the blinds. So small blind, then we face a 3-bet from the small blind. They're going to be not as tight of a 3-bet as a 3-bet from the big blind, given that the big blind's last to act. But the small blind it's going to be a decently strong range, given that they'll be 3-betting with hands that they don't want the big blind to come along with. They won't want to go multi-way. They are comfortable with putting more money in with the knowledge that they're going to be out of position, so that's contributing to them having a very strong range here. Queen Jack, definitely not going to be a raise. No real need to raise here, as we've already got a heads up position, even though that we are in position. We do have a good amount of playability, given that we are suited. We are also connected as well. We could have a lot of outkicked situations where we might end up losing a big pot as a result of feeling as though our hand is too strong to fold, but it's a little bit too weak to go for clear value. So we might get value owned in a lot of situations. So I can definitely hear the fold in that respect. I could also hear the call in terms of we have a lot of playability. We're in position as well. So yeah, I'm going to lean towards the call here. Board comes Queen 9-8. So the main reason behind my call is we have a lot of playability. We're in position. Queen Jack, we can comfortably throw it away on certain board textures, and given how they play. But given that we're suited, we're in position, and we're also connected as well. Board comes Queen 9-8, so we have a top pair, good kicker with a gut shot as well. So a small blind checks. We can. So I move towards either about a 1/5 pot, about a 1/3 pot. So I'm going to go about 1/3. Small blind calls. They can be calling off a lot here. They could have queen better kicker. That would check and flow. Probably not many straight draws. Could have some, maybe, some strong ace highs here, like ace king, for example, ace jack. Could have some over pairs here, some aces, some kings. Although they might be going in with a little bit more of a check raise on such a wet dynamic board where a lot of cards can come in and change the board texture a lot. They can't be calling with flush draw, and they're not going to have many flush draws realistically. But yeah, they can't be calling with flush draw. They won't be calling with a 9x. They won't be calling with 8x, which is how maybe, some under pairs, some 7s below. Maybe some 10s, maybe some jacks. We are blocking jacks. We are blocking queens as well. So maybe some middling pocket pairs, some under pairs, some over pairs. So they still got a decently wide range. So we got about stack to pot ratio of 2 when the king rolls off. So we now move to second pair, still with a gut shot, but now a gut shot to a higher straight. I reckon would want them to have still a wide-ish range going to the river here, because I reckon we're not going to get called by worse. If we bet here, we're only really going to get called by better queens, over pairs, some king X that floated on the flop, so I lean towards a check. They bet out. Evidently, that was the wrong move. Oh, no, here we are. Oh, so they're saying we should have gone half pot. So my issue with half pot here is, yes, we've got a straight draw, so we know that we have minimum 4 clean outs, possibly. Actually, no, we know for a fact that we have 4 clean outs, so there's 8% equity there, guaranteed, if they've got a better queen, if they got an overpair. Okay, if they got an overpair, then we've got another 3 clean out, or 2 clean outs and a queen, with an extra 3 clean outs and a jack, so there's 5 outs, so 9 outs. So about 18% equity there. So worst case scenario, we have 18% equity potentially. But I reckon if they call here, they're not going to be calling with anything worse realistically. There's not enough, 10 jacks already a straight. That was the only real, there's no open enders here. They most likely don't have 6-7, for example. That can have an open ender, okay, and that's really their only open ender. Majority of what they would have floated on the flop has got there with the king peeling off, ace king, king 10, king jack. They're not going to have any worse queens here. The only under pairs and under pairs jacks, 10s, obviously not 9s, but jacks and 10s, they would fold to a bet on the turn here. They have now. There's 2 overcards to them. We're not going to we're not going to donk lead that flop with anything worse. Realistically, we're not going to do it with worse under pairs. For example, we're very weighted. We're very polarized in the fashion that we've either got some strong queen X, we either got some strong 9x, even some strong 8x. Maybe at some frequency we could feel that that's good enough to bet with. And, you know, we got some straight draws in there. We got some Jack X. We got some 10X. There were some gut shots. We could have even just flopped the straight with some 10 Jack as well. So we just don't have many pure natural bluffs here, for example. We've polarized ourselves, and I feel like if we bet here, we're polarizing ourselves even more, and we're isolating only a range. Because, you know, if we had ace, queen, we'd be feeling fine. If we had ace king, we'd be feeling fine. If we had king queen, we'd be feeling fine. But queen jack, it's one of those hands where I think that we're still a little bit too vulnerable. You know, like I was talking about, we only really have 4, maybe 9 guaranteed outs here. You know, we could still if they call that turn bet, I'm very convinced that we're going to be behind in a lot of those situations, because I don't think anything worse for value is going to be call, considering that there's, you know, not many draws out there. Okay, what, ace 10 floating the flop, maybe. You know, they did have a gut shot on the flop, now they still have that gut shot. And, you know, maybe they're thinking, oh, we've got the ace high, so that's good enough to float with, but I purely just disagree in that respect. I think this isolates way too much of a range that we are going to be dominated by or losing to, you know, some king X that floated on the flop. There's just not a whole lot here, okay? So then they go about 1/3 pot. I can definitely hear like a hero call here, but I'm just trying to think, what bluffs do they have? You know, it's not as if there was any draws for them to be going with, so once again, they don't really have any natural bluffs here. The only draw that didn't get there is 6-7, like I said before. Ace 10's very unrealistic. It's unrealistic for them to be floating the flop with just a gut shot. Yes, we've checked back on the turn, so they could still have that gut shot for potentially. We were hoping for more of a check-check type of situation. I think that's kind of the only way that we're going to win this hand. I'm leaning towards just a clear fold here. Granted, you know, we are getting a good price. We only really need to be good here about 20% of the time. Like 25% of the time, give or take. I could hear just a call, given those pot odds, given that we're getting a good price. We did give them rope on the turn as well, so yeah, I'm going to lean towards a call here. So they got king 10. And river, they don't have any solutions because the turn was at 0%. Yeah, okay. Well, I look. If we have a look at what range do they have here? Okay, so this is small blind. Okay, so yes, they got some king X that floated. Got some overpairs, obviously. Okay, then they got ace queen. You know, ace jack makes sense. You know, they could have ace jack. Could have ace 10. Could have ace, you know, then they got ace queen. You got king queen. You got king jack, king 10, ace 10. So we're only beating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hands in their range we're beating. I just don't think that's, you know, we're going to be good there enough of the time. So I reckon it should, you know, even with the good price, I reckon it's still probably a fold. Just given that there's just such a dry, or like when I'm talking, like, yes, this, you know, there's 2 cards there, the 9-8. But realistically, it's such a dry board because, you know, the 9-8, the only thing that gives us is an already flop straight, which is 10 jack. You know, there's no open ender, there's no flush draw. Okay, it's either you've got the straight or you don't, and then the rest is just gut shot. Which gut shot I wouldn't really consider to be a wet dynamic board. Okay, you know, if you're scared of those 4 cards, then like you kind of just seeing monsters under the bed. But yeah. So there's our 10 hands, 15 moves, 94% GTO score. The one wrong move being that turn check back. The theory is just, I reckon they've got too strong of a range there, and that they're also polarized in the fashion that they're either going to fold everything we're beating, and they're only going to call with things that we are losing to. You know, king X is calling there, but ace highs are probably folding. And we would much rather ace highs be given the rope that we can bluff catch on the river, than we fold out all the ace highs and we just get called by better for value. I guess the idea is that maybe, especially with that sizing as well, half pot, we're kind of just saying, we're kind of throwing 20 big blinds out there to see, are we winning or are we losing? So I'd much rather get the check back. Hopefully the river goes check, or hopefully they do a small sizing similar to that where we can just kind of comfortably bluff catch and just go like, well, we gave you the rope. We might as well bluff catch here. But yeah, I hope you guys learned something. Enjoy yourselves. Have a good one. And as always, play well.